that India should not spread itself too thinly over too many things.
Yeah.
They have to identify these are the Pareto technologies. Yeah, Pareto in the sense 5 years from now, 20% of these technologies will have 80% impact
Correct.
on war. Which are these? And identify them and say, guys, we are keen on these technologies. If you have the capability, come and develop it. And again, I don't believe you should give the money and ask them to develop. Develop something, show it to me, and take milestone-based payments
Funding.
from us.
Hello, I am Varun Aggarwal. Welcome to Deep Innovation Dialogues. I am the co-founder of Fast India. At Fast India, we believe that research is central to India's national security and technology sovereignty. We love to celebrate individuals who have put R&D at the center of their work and demonstrated that continuous investment in R&D can help create deep IP from India, world-class technologies, and products which are globally competitive. I have one such individual with me today, Mr. Ashok Atluri, who's the MD of Zen Technologies. 3 decades back, Ashok asked a simple question: can we create world-class simulators for military training from India? Today, Zen is a listed company with a market cap of more than $1.5 billion. They have 40 plus products, 170 patents, and they spend more than 6% of their revenue in R&D. Not only this, Zen Technologies has won a national award and their systems played a significant role in Operation Sindoor. We will hear all of this today from Ashok. Ashok, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
So Ashok, I would want to start by asking you that what did you win the national award for and how did your systems make a significant impact in Operation Sindoor?
So, we won the operation, the national award for overseas driving simulator that we made, and this was in collaboration with DST. They also were involved in this project in the sense they funded a bit. But again, we won this. We are not only that, we exported the same thing overseas also. So,
Ashok, sorry to interrupt you, but can you explain our audience what is a overseas driving simulator? Because I'm not sure they'll know.
yeah, so it's a truck simulator. Instead of driving the actual trucks, you can learn how to drive a truck using a simulator, because actually a lot of dangers of using giving a untrained person an actual truck. So like a flight simulator, we have a truck simulator. So this was the overseas market where the roads are on the right side, where the signal are different. So that was the kind of customization that we did. And this was given by Mr. Abdul Kalam.
Oh, wow.
Dr. Abdul Kalam has the thing. So
The ex-president of
the award. So that's the pleasant memory we have. And it's a long time back. But coming to Operation Sindoor, which is a more recent phenomenon, what we supplied to the Indian Armed Forces were anti-drone systems. These anti-drone systems were wideband, in the sense that they were not commercial band, which most of the anti-drone systems were. So when the enemy sent drones in non-commercial frequencies, we were able, our thing were able to block.
I see.
And of course, based on the feedback from the crisis, we are now upgrading our system. They've given us the upgrade order of almost 300 crores. So we are trying to implement that order. Again, the whole thing is that, we'll probably be covering later, but having an Indian IP product is so advantageous that, the crisis happens, the iteration is so fast.
Yeah.
The crisis, the problem comes, we say, okay, we are solving it. So just imagine if this was from a foreign company, they would say, listen, I have to take ITAR clearance, I have to take export license. No, we have not developed this, we don't have this thing. So we are actually at absolutely cutting edge of the product when we have our own IP own. But if you don't have, and then, you're actually at the mercy of a foreign vendor who may or may not support. And worse, during war, they may say, listen, you're at war, I'll not support you, which has happened in many cases.
Oh.
So I think, IP ownership like Fast does a fantastic work of highlighting the importance of R&D. So I think we also in a heart believe that R&D is very important.
No, that's great. And that's a great point that, as far as national security is concerned, the IP should be here.
Absolutely.
So that not only are you saying that it gets blocked, but also you need these fast iteration cycles, right?
Absolutely.
Because circumstances, environment keep changing so fast in today's geopolitics.
Absolutely.
And we'll discuss later how warfare is continuing to evolve so fast.
Absolutely, yeah.
So those cycles are needed to be done quickly. So Ashok, let's go back. go back 3 decades, right? And I'm sure it would have been a very interesting time. But how did all this begin? How did you think of doing what you're doing, and what were you doing then? And how did you, because this is IP which needs technical know-how, which needs great team. At times, you also need capability which is not available in India. So, how did you think about doing this, and what were the initial challenges? How did you get over them?
One thing is that I'm basically a lazy guy in the sense that, so
I'll again interrupt you there. In computer science, there's this very interesting book, and the person who's called the father of computer programming, he said that whole programming was invented because people are lazy, right? And they don't.
probably in the, yeah, yeah.
The whole computer science was developed. Go ahead. So lazy people make a lot of impact.
So, yeah. So I think we find shortcuts for life. And so, the thing is that I look at life as in two models. One is the dentist model, the other is the author model. Dentist is a guy who keeps earning as long as he's treating a customer
Sure.
or a patient. But the author actually writes a breakthrough book or a bestseller book, and then he doesn't have to work. It's getting sold by itself, downloaded on Kindle, and you're making revenue. So the point was, how do we make a product instead of just giving services to the kind of.
Yeah.
So the product at that point in time, the ranges were becoming scarcer. There are no ranges, and people were saying that we are not able to practice because ranges are not there. Because for almost 40, 50 years, Indian government did not build new ranges. So which were the ranges that were there were subsumed by the expanding cities.
I see.
So we thought, can we build a indoor shooting range? And we were fortunate to build. Our first product was small arms training simulator. It had 3 to 4 years of R&D kind of thing, and we did that. And we started showing to customers. Again, the thing is, customers loved it. So one of the biggest challenges was, that two challenges we had. One was that, have you sold it somewhere? We need track record. Second was, who are we need 3 vendors. So that's the problem. I said, listen, guys, we may be the second or third guy in the world to make it. And how do you want in India 3 vendors? But these are the issues that we faced. But fortunately, I think we resolved as we went ahead. Yeah, but maybe we'll talk about it more, especially how did we resolve the three vendor situation.
Vendor situation. And Ashok, what kind of team did you assemble? Right, like to build the first product. You said you took 3-4 years.
Yeah. So, actually, our one of the co-founder, we are 3 of us who founded the company: Kishore, my brother, my friend Ravi Kumar, and myself. Ravi was a 12th class dropout.
Okay.
So he was the heart and soul of the R&D effort.
Acha, interesting.
So, and Kishore, of course, is computer science. He is master of computer applications, and I have done finance background, but little bit of computer programming also. But Ravi was the guy who actually confirmed my belief that you really don't have to be highly qualified. You just need the commitment to deliver the things.
Sure.
So Ravi would, and the funny part was, people would say this is technically not possible, and because he hadn't read or heard about it, he would deliver the product.
Yeah.
So Ravi developed the first. He was a key guy who developed He recently, he just said, I want to take off. So he retired recently from Zen. But I think, so there, 3 of us started the company.
Got it. And this was in Hyderabad.
93, Hyderabad.
93, Hyderabad. Very interesting. You mentioned a little bit about it, right? And so getting your first customer, and who was your first customer? How did you get that customer? How did you get over these issues about track record and 3 bids? And I'm asking you this also, Ashok, because these issues are still the same.
Yeah.
It's been 3 decades. But if we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs who are today building defense technologies, hardware, software, etc., and these issues continue to come. Would you have some advice for entrepreneurs who are there in the market, and or examples from your journey?
So, in our case, we went to everybody. Everybody was the same. We like the customer, but, somebody has to buy. If I buy, I don't want to be the first guy. So finally, out of frustration, there is the National Police Academy in Hyderabad. We kept our system there, and we said, just freely use it.
Acha, very interesting.
So because so otherwise, each time we would go, it would cost something upwards of 50,000. That was a huge amount of money for us. So we finally, kind of said that let us, and fortunately, was some of Delhi Police High Commissioner. He came, he saw the thing, he loved it, and he said, let us go and buy it because the system is already installed there. And they called, and they are in the budget last lapsing period. They said, how much is the thing? They gave it, negotiated, and they placed the order. They thought that was an installation. I mean, the white lie was we weren't denying when he was in the market. It was.
No, this is, Ashok, you have unpacked a lot of wisdom for our audience. And so let me break it down a little bit. Like, I think what was interesting in your story on the first customer was that it was quite a non-linear path, right? Which is that you don't only get your first customer, and when the company is looking for their first bake, it is not that you take the traditional path, right? So you deployed it somewhere, someone saw it, and probably you landed it with a customer who was probably not your scale customer later, which was with the police force. You wanted to go to military. So I think for entrepreneurs, this is a very good learning that you don't, if you're not getting it, you should not sit back. And you could have said that, "Arey, ye to ho hi nahi sakta," but you kind of found a non-linear path.
When I talk about design and development is important, they still talk about make in India. Make in India typically means manufacture in India. So we need to get that mindset. The design and development is very important. Again, I keep giving the example of iPhone, the $1,200 iPhone, 485 bill of material, and manufacturing the make in India or make in China is $25-$30. So it's 1 or 2%, and we keep talking about make in India, make in India. No, I keep saying make in China, very frankly. Make in China, because at least I get the attention. Say design and develop. Let us have the 70% here. Let us give 2%. Okay, we won't, because we want to employ. There is, but it is so loud and so on the face, the manufacturing, that the silence of design and development actually dies down. So I think we have to really add, as Indians, we are really capable guys. We are very, very smart. And if and what are we doing? We are going to a foreign country and designing for someone else, which is kind of sad, actually.
No, very good point again, Ashok. And one way people understand it is, for our audience, is like the U-shaped curve, where you say that at the beginning of the U is IP, and that's where you capture a lot of value. That's why it's high.
Yeah.
Then there's manufacturing, which is at the bottom of the U, where you capture very little value. And then it goes up again as to who controls the brand, right? Where they again capture the most amount of value, right? And iPhone is like a great example of that, both on the brand side and the IP side. So this is very useful. And your point around saying that, look, if we have to do the real value capture, we have to create IP in India, and then you also do manufacturing in India for jobs and other reasons. But we need to, if we need to really go become a high per capita income country, we need to have IP here. That's what will do wealth generation.
Very quickly, $25, you make a margin of $2, $3, $5 maximum.
Correct.
But on the $600, the value capture may be $400.
Yeah.
So, this $4 versus 400, and
Exactly.
100x difference. The government could do a lot of with this value capture. And in fact, when, none of the state government actually have, I will give you incentives based on the value add that you do and value capture. They talk about job creation, all that, because very loud. But this is very subtle in the sense, what is the value add on the value capture you are doing. So if people get this formula well, I think the nation will also do very, very well in that.
Very well said. Very well said. So I think you all of you should remember the 4 versus 400. Easy analogy which Ashok has given us. Ashok, let's move forward a little bit, understanding the journey of Zen. So we talked about the initial journey. What was then the inflection point? What was the experience of listing the company? And you started with this, firing range simulator. What all did you do after that? What would be your flagship products today? So if you can tell a little bit about the journey.
So we started in 93, and 96 we took 3 years to sell the product, 3 years of R&D and 3 years to sell the product. So very tough times. We were not able, we didn't have money, and the ecosystem was not like this where money was easy. It was very difficult. And then IDBI actually.
You were bootstrapped or?
It was bootstrapped, and IDBI in third year, IDBI came in as a venture capital partner. I mean, they had, the IDBI was the government of India organization then. So they put in money, and so they had a exit clause. So we were looking how to exit them, and this IP, the .com thing came in, and I have this theory that every 8 years there is a cycle. 92, I had also visualized that 2000 I list myself, and again 2008 crisis came. I don't know if anything happened in 2016 or 2024 or not, but I believe that 8 year cycle is there. So we were able to go. We raised very little. We raised 1.9 crores at that point in time. So that was a 25% of the equity. So our complete equity was about 7.6 crores.
I see.
And we were so we issued the thing, and so it was almost at today's term less than $1 million was the market cap at that point in time. So and we have done very well. We have given already 1500x to our shareholders in terms of returns. And then we kept on expanding the range and getting into more simulators. And then Mr. Parikar came, and he said, listen, it has to be IP ownership. It can't be just manufacturing coolies kind of thing for other guys. And not only supply chain is not a bad thing, but the point here is that you are being at their mercy. Today they're giving me supply chain because their offset requirement is there. Tomorrow they go to Saudi and they say offset requirement, they'll move it there. I mean, you maybe left holding the baby here. So, but fortunately, he got the point, and we were able to do. And in 2018, we started looking around and saying that where is it that we should actually expand to? And then we started looking at this drone market, and we said drone market actually was really there. Even in that place time, there were 60, 70 drone makers, and we actually tried to bid in one of the tenders, and we saw that if they were playing the order book game, at any cost, let us take the orders, kind of strategic and all that. So we exited. Then we got into this anti-drone systems. We invested in a company. We took 51% stake, and then they were doing multiple projects. We said, guys, let us shut down, and selected one particular. And again, nobody was talking about it. Again, the problem with really wealth, IP creation is nobody will be talking about it when you go about it. That's a good time to go, actually. If there's too much of noise, it's too late. So anti-drone system, nobody was talking at that point in time. Everybody is talking about drone, and I keep saying, maybe signal is in the silence. So,
Interesting.
So we were able to, we got into that, and the extremely competent team, the UTS team, the Unistring team. So they put in for so we had a budget, we target for about 5 years. But 3 years down the line, government floated a tender, and we participated in that, and we won the bid. So that was a buy Indian. Again, we competed against some 20 people who came, and we won that.
So I have one question there, Ashok, policy question, and love to get your view, right? So there are two ways to think about policy, right? One is that there's this whole push on indigenization and saying that, look, buy only from Indian companies and so on. One risk there is that you start buying suboptimal products, right? Saying that, look, because we had to buy India, we are like buying it at twice the price, or they are 50% as efficient as what you would have got from China or Europe or USA. So what do you think is the right policy design so that we don't become like a pre-90s economy where we are saying, hey, we'll do everything inside, but then you kind of kill competition because of that. You kill the incentives of companies to be innovative because you have, artificially constrained competition from outside. So would you have a perspective on this?
Pre 1991, let me tell you that there was people are not allowed to do R&D or improve anything. There was a license Raj where if you changed a nut, you would be put behind criminally. Well, hell, so that's a different ball game altogether. So today we are talking about products, which is a good question. Government should buy the best for the money with the taxpayers' money versus buying Indian products. The problem here is that there are some items of strategic autonomy. So where areas like I would say nuclear energy, defense, and all these are strategic autonomy required. And what happens and why are we having this strategic autonomy is that in case of a war or something, will we be able to sustain ourselves, or will we be at somebody else's mercy? And so there is an Israeli leader who famously said that, even if my country's company has 60% capability, I will buy my company's car.
Interesting.
Versus 100% capability of a foreign better product. Now see where Israel is and where other countries are. So the thing is, again, we have to be a little cautious in the sense when we are so this is not that easy in the sense that when you are placing order, you have to check, is that company actually having IP development capability? So I may be pimping for some foreign company and say, listen, I'm a thing, but I don't have any capability, I don't have any track record, I haven't developed anything. So, so this is a responsible government. It's a little tricky thing for government, but government should take the effort and saying, listen, these guys are champions. I'm going to buy from them. This version, I know this version 2 or version 3 will be much better than the foreign thing. So the point here is not just buying from Indian, or it's not protectionism, but it is strategic, my self-interest. It's the most selfish thing a government can.
Sure.
Ensuring that the capability is built in India.
In India.
And then not only that, once you've developed the companies that I'm talking about who are, addicted to R&D, these companies will not stop at, developing just for India. They are global leaders. They will create a lot of revenues in term by exporting the thing, by creating and reinventing. So, like today in Army Simulator, we are #1 in the world by far. I mean, there is, if you are actually start ranking, maybe there is a fourth or a fifth guy. There are no second, third in there. So how did this happen? Again, we were able to, you're focused on one, of course, focus, don't try to do too many things. Focus on one thing. And then government support. Parikar came and, he started doing this. We got a lot of orders. And then, they also, Jal Manoj Pandey came, said training is very important. Then we got a lot of orders. So yes, I think the government, in its own most selfish interest, should try to ensure that these IP driven companies are rewarded very well.
Yeah.
And then they're, they go and develop further products, and then, they export. So, for every 100 crores they spend, I have seen that we have generated 300 crores of revenues for the government.
Sure.
So this gave us a 100 crore order, but we have done exports on the product and we have got 300 crores. So it is the most selfish thing they can do. But if they were to buy it from somebody who's pimping for some Israeli company or some company, then the benefit ends there.
Sure.
Because they're not going to develop any extra. So of course, there's a lot of weight on the government, but I think it's the only way to go.
Sure. No, and the strategic autonomy point is very, very important, right? And the government has to probably tread that fine line where they are getting IP to be developed in India, but make sure that, as you were saying, that the companies they are supporting have that capability, and over time develop very, very sophisticated.
They should have a clear timeline, and absolutely. And what are how many patents have done? Do they have what is the R&D they are doing? How is the R&D expenditure they are doing? And they should actually, because this is such a sensitive thing, they can also say, listen, if you make false claim, we are going to blacklist you. We'll blacklist all the board members and the related companies, will blacklist the group. Some kind of a threat should be given, so that there should be a carrot and stick up.
Okay, so Ashok, let's move to segment 2. And because you mentioned Israel, right? So what we are seeing is that warfare is really, really changed, right? A lot of assumptions are broken down. The recent Russia-Ukraine war, from a time where we thought that whoever has air superiority would wipe off the other one, we saw that a lot of use of AI, a lot of use of drones, a lot of use of precision guided weapons, and so on. What do you see as the future of defense technology? Where is it going? And in that context, how should India prepare for it?
One thing is that the drones have become very big. Prior to Armenia-Azerbaijan war in 2020, drones were being talked about as potential thing, but Azerbaijan did just walked into in the war to give, they had advantage. In Russia, Ukraine, it's being used. So drones and anti-drone systems are, counter drone systems are big. But I think as we go ahead, I think AI is going to be integrated in a big way into these products. Not only the current product, but even legacy products. So that's an opportunity for, because a lot of youngsters look at the product. How do you disrupt the old existing products with including, by integrating, by the ground up designing AI products? That is one area where that things are there. So AI is big. And third is, I think, in terms of the comprehensive, like satellite communication, the whole integration, command and control integration using satellite, all the sensors, that fusion will be big. And another area I think is
you're saying getting data from multiple
sources and taking decisions, and using all the technologies that are available, maybe drone surveillance or satellite, etc. And finally, I think this quantum communication, quantum new technologies like that. How do you develop quantum safe communication, at the same time? How do you crack the quantum safe communication? So all these things are going to be big. Again, I'm very sure that not again. But my whole point is that India should not spread itself too thinly over too many things. They have to identify these are the Pareto technologies. Pareto in the sense 5 years from now, 20% of these technologies will have 80% impact on war. Which are these? And identify them and say, guys, we are keen on these technologies. If you have the capability, come and develop it. And again, I don't believe you should give the money and ask them to develop. Develop something, show it to me, and take milestone-based payments from us. Deliver and then take, not tell. People who, as Tao saying says, people who talk don't do, and people who do don't talk kind
Yeah.
of thing. So it's a kind of thing. The people who make very good presentations and thing may not be able to deliver. So please ask them to deliver.
Sure, sure. No, and again, I think very interesting points here, Ashok, because one which you said, which I see a big risk these days, is that spreading ourselves thin, right? And the technology sovereignty argument is also used to spread ourselves very thin, that we should be able to make everything
Yeah, you know,
which we
yeah,
need,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And I think what you are clarifying is that we should look at what you are calling as Pareto technologies. I generally call them as foundational technologies, because technologies which will probably impact every area and make every area more efficient, like quantum, AI, and then there's some on the life science side around neuro and biotech, and build strong capabilities in that for the future. So I think going from there, is there, again, the geopolitics has really changed, right? And now there are many countries in our neighborhood which pose danger to India, and the global geopolitics is also changing. Do you think there are big reforms which are needed in how defense procurement is done in the country? How we are, so we already have a big government body which is the DRDO, which does all of it. What is the right balance between government and private? How should these two strengths be brought together to move forward? Because I think now it's more a now and here situation, and it's a very fast evolving situation, right? So we cannot say that, look, things can go as they were
Yeah,
going before. So
absolutely.
how do you think, what is the best in the government capability in DRDO and so on, the best in the private sector? How can we bring this together, if you have some thoughts on
So,
that?
I think, government should have as little role as possible.
Mm,
So, versus, there was this make policy in which
mm,
government say, we will give you 80%, you put 20% and you come. Not even one project took off there.
mm. Can
Mm.
you, Ashok, explain this a little bit in more detail for our
So
audience?
government
What was
had
the
a,
make policy?
policy called make policy, in which they said for larger projects, the government will fund 80%
I
and industry should fund 20%, and we'll develop that. So the lot of things moved,
And the
but never.
80% was going to the private sector, or that DR was going?
No, 80% would go to the private sector whenever, if they, when and if they develop.
Yeah,
So, but nothing happened there actually.
got
So, I made a proposal to Mr. Parikar under Make 2, called it Make because that was Make. The Make 2 was that we will develop the product. We pre-identified either proposed by us or the forces. We will develop it. And once the product is ready and accepted, please place the order on us.
Hmm.
Now, this is successful. A lot of people have developed under
Yeah.
Make 2 and all. Why is this successful in the sense? Strangely, I read Elon Musk's biography in that.
Yeah.
SpaceX, for almost 2 decades, there is almost zero rocket being delivered by Lockheed Martin, Boeing, along with NASA. Why was not being delivered? Cost was basis.
Hmm.
Elon Musk came and said, listen, forget about all that. I will develop the rocket, and these are the milestones.
Yeah.
If I hit the milestone, pay me, otherwise don't pay me.
Hmm.
He hit the milestones. He took
Yeah.
the money from the government based on and flew their rockets. Now, what is the difference between that and this is? I think the skin in the game.
Hmm.
When when an entrepreneur has skin in the game, then heaven and hell start moving.
Yeah.
Why is that? And what is skin in the game? A lot of people don't understand what is skin in the game. Skin in the game is, if the project fails, there is no downside to it.
Hmm.
If the project fails, if I'm an entrepreneur, I'm out on the road. My children I will not be able to pay fees for my
Yeah.
children. My house will be sold.
Yeah.
Everything will be the end of the way. So a lot of people say, our reputation is at stake. I may not get promoted, but they are not skin in the game. Skin
Yeah.
in the game means actual existential threat to his or her person's identity and life.
Yeah.
So when that happens, things start happening.
Hmm.
So, to your question that, I think government should ensure skin in the game
By the private
companies
sector.
coming there.
Yeah.
And second thing, that is the speed of the procurement. I wrote an article in Hindustan Times called Speed. Actually, it's the corrupted acronym,
Hmm.
savings and penalties for early and delayed payments kind of thing.
I see.
In which I said that, if the project, so this is a study that we have done. If the project is 100 crores under IDTM, the IP developed company,
Yeah.
the cost per day of delay is 10 lakhs.
Hmm.
And if you delay the project by 2 years, you have lost 72 crores for the
Wow.
economy. So there are different components, GDP component, armed force of preparedness, the companies thing, and the innovation ecosystem.
Yeah.
4 category. So how do you, so what I'm thinking is that, once you identified this IDDM company, Indigenous Design Company, just embrace it. It's a national strategic asset. Just
Yeah.
embrace it and start giving orders and see, monitor them whether they're delivering it or not. Outcome based. Don't go and ask the paperwork, because these companies are not capable of paperwork, but they are capable of delivering products.
Yeah. So what you are focusing, Ashok, is that more outcome-based funding of the
That's
private
yeah.
sector, milestone-based funding, and also
Skin in
what
the
we mentioned earlier, procurement guarantees. That
yes.
if you will build, then we will buy
Yeah,
the
well,
machine.
definitely we will
So
buy.
that is the de-risking which you give to the entrepreneur and create. So in some sense, what you are saying is that there's both a carrot and stick. One, you are saying that, look, if you will develop to this specification, we will buy so many. That's the
Yeah.
incentive.
Yes.
And the other one is that
If
there's
you try to cheat
milestone.
the system,
Yeah.
we will really, really come after you and destroy you.
Come after
Government should be very strict about
Makes
it.
sense. Now, I know we have discussed this about it before, but in the triple helix, there's government, industry, and academia.
Yeah.
Right. And at least in the space sector, we have now seen these three are able to collaborate better together. When we also looked at the Chandrayaan mission, we saw that there were some components which were done by academics, there were some components which was done by private industry, and some which were done in ISRO. And we are seeing this kind of coming together happening. Are you seeing that coming together happening in defense? Can it happen, or why is it not happening from your point
No,
of view?
one thing is definitely the government, in the sense, they fund the thing, so their involvement is very
Yeah.
important. And they also, for example, in armed forces, the expertise, the subject matter expertise is with them. So their involvement is very required for us. But in terms of academia, my experience has been, very pathetic actually. In the thing, even though they always say take the academia along, we haven't seen lot of work being delivered by academia. And the reason is, typically when there's a lot of people say, there is a cost arbitrage. These guys are so much, they will take 10x when they leave, but they work for 3 months, 6 months as an intern. Can they really deliver the whole project that takes multiple year kind of a thing? No.
Yeah.
And sometimes professors are good. Sometimes, most of the times, they are more oriented what papers do I write.
Yeah.
So their incentives is, how many papers do I publish, how many citations do I get. But if we can actually connect their incentives to the outcome of the product being commercially successful, I think we'll get more good outcomes.
Got it.
So as of now, I don't think there much have been happening there. But if you could connect it to the commercial success of the product, listen, a lot of people think, listen, this is money. I mean, money. I don't want to talk about money. Money is supposed to be bad. But I think the ultimate reward, the ultimate respect I'm getting from somebody is willing to give me their hard-earned money for the product that I have created.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate. That's the most noble act that I can do in terms of creation. And the person who has worked hard to earn that money, giving that money to me, is the ultimate thing. I don't want anything more than that. So I think money, earning money by these academicians also as a part of the thing should not be frowned upon. Actually, they should be encouraged as much as it should be encouraged for the business.
Sure. So again, interestingly, in the US, just going to another segment about R&D and defense, right? In the US and many other countries, there's been a very strong linkage, right? We know that it was after World War II, the Vannevar-Bush report came, which kind of created this research funding in the US, the Endless Frontier report, which was written by Vannevar-Bush, and it also led to creation of, and I think you also talk about this, that there's dual use technologies, right?
Yeah,
So you are actually, probably there's a defense angle to it, but then they are used. I think the biggest example is internet, right? Internet came out of a DARPA funded project, right? GPS, which is all these startups like Uber and everyone used, came out of defense requirement, right? And they were more foundational technologies, GPS, internet, and so on, which were funded by defense money. Do you think something like this can happen in India, where, of course, there are things which you are buying for direct warfare, but then the defense money actually becomes a catalyst for general technological innovation in the country?
No, I'm sure I'm not able to bring down, for example, even this arms usage that we talk about,
Yeah.
so this can be used across
Across.
training the bank staff or all those
Correct.
kind of staff.
Yeah.
And it's also a good thing for, companies, private guys, skills that are required abroad in various security positions. So,
Yeah.
I think that definitely the dual use case is there, especially if it is on the border of technology that are on the border, which can be used by civilians. But again, I do think that, for example, I wouldn't have imagined that something like UPI would ever be made
Yeah.
by government,
Yeah.
but that was really
Yeah.
made, I think. So, I have those from being a completely capitalistic government
Yeah.
should not be doing.
Yeah.
I have starting to think that, there are something that government
Something.
some platforms it can build over which we can do, better products over that. Yeah.
Sure. No, no, makes sense. And, I think in some sense, we are going through and I'm saying it before time, but probably a golden era for science in India, right? I mean, we'll see how some of these initiatives fare, but the amount of investment the government is doing and reform which has been done in the last few years in science has not been ever, it has never been in this much focus, right? So we have the Anusandhan National Research Foundation, we have the Research and Development Innovation Fund, which is a $12 billion fund. We have constantly seeing office orders on ease of doing science, ease of doing research. The Prime Minister speaks about it. Now it's started becoming vocabulary like ease of doing business. Do you have thoughts on all these reforms which we are seeing? What can be done better and what can be done more?
Yeah, I think definitely this the government, which the RDI and the ANRF, these funds are very, very important for us. And how they deploy it would be very
Yeah.
thing. Again, I'm of the opinion that there should be as less government as possible and more outcome based and stick approach, where if you
Yeah.
abuse, we will come after you, rather than make it constriction every time somebody violates, punish them and set an example of that guy, rather than putting on more
Yeah. Yeah.
sanctions. So I think if they can do that, that's a lot of money to, $12 billion, 1
Yeah.
lakh crores is a lot of
Yeah.
money. And if this is something that can really take us into the quantum and all that, that I was talking about, the Pareto technologies,
Yeah.
not only in defense, these are Pareto
Across the board.
technologies across the board. And if we can really identify, again, the challenge will be identifying the companies that are willing to have the high agency, high commitment, and then, giving it to them. I'm very pleased of that, that this is being done at this point in time. And if it is actually achieved, I think we will be definitely in 5 years' time, we should be in absolutely in the Pareto technology, we should be number one, not only in defense but in other segments also.
Super. Coming back to Zen, what is now your vision for Zen? What is the future of Zen? Where would you like to take it?
So, our vision as a company has been simple, India should be unbeatable in war.
Hmm.
That's our vision. So
Very nice.
in that segment, what we started thinking is, okay, training is very, very important. Absolutely, it's a number one. If you're not trained, you cannot beat anyone. Second is this counter drone system. That's where we are. So our expansion, whatever will be in these Pareto areas, which will actually determine the India's
Yeah.
outcome in a war. The 20% of the technologies. So that is what we will be focusing on.
Very nice. So, last question for your advice to entrepreneurs, right? Now, there are a lot of entrepreneurs who are working for the defense sector, and uh, they'll be in drones, they'll be using AI, all sorts of systems. But they've also face a myriad of challenges, right? Like they're dependent on government orders. Government orders are unpredictable. There are delays, there are issues around supply chain, component availability, etc., etc., etc. So it's nice to see that despite and in spite of these challenges, people like you have come so far. What would be the advice you would want to give to new budding entrepreneurs who are coming in the defense sector?
So, actually, very frankly, this it's a very long chain of events that finally get you the money out of the bag.
Yeah.
First the awareness building that you have this product, then demonstrating it to them, then they are showing the RFI and
Yep.
and the acceptance on where the fund allocation takes, then the RFP, then the TEC trials. So it's a long
Long
chain.
process.
So for small companies, it's a little difficult to do.
Mm.
And for my advice is, it's first of all, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, proper,
Yeah.
it may be ultra marathon kind of a
Mm.
thing. Second is that try to don't get P or VC guys who have this play that every 6 months they're going to
Yeah.
have you hit the targets or not. Because number one, if you're hitting the target in 3 months, revenue target, or in 6 months, you're actually doing trading.
Yeah.
You're not really created IP product.
Yeah.
So IP production takes at least 3 to 5 years, at least 3 years or 2 to 3 years of work. So you are not going to disturb them when they are doing, but hold them responsible for hitting the milestones in R&D. And then, and again, I would suggest, we love these kind of companies that have deep
Yeah.
capability, and we definitely don't want to go just guys who come out and they say, listen, we are going to change the world. We they should actually have been in the field for 3 to 5 years,
3 to 5 years.
struggled, bootstrapped, and
Demonstrated technology.
Some deep capability they have already developed, and they want to further develop it. 5 years later, companies like Zen like to embrace these kind of, companies. There may be definitely more companies which see the IP and they say, listen, you still need to work for 2 years. This is the funding we are going to give, and we'll ensure we'll be able to guide you all the way to the trials, the successful order, and the payment realization. I mean, these are almost automatic steps, but the technical work, that's paper submission, all the people can really mess up. So we are really masters at that. We can really help the company achieve the ultimate goal of selling top class, world class products to the Indian Armed Forces. So there may be other companies also, but the thing is, if that company is not an IP developed company and they're a trader, they're going to ask you every 3 months, what are you doing? Kya hua? Kya hua? And I know those kind of companies. There is a company that came to us which was funded by a real estate guy. And that guy used to ask every 3 months what has happened.
Sure.
Yeah.
No.
But real estate goes, but land prices keeps going on without any effort. But in R&D, you have to keep pouring in money for anything to be created.
No, excellent advice, Ashok. And I think all the experience which you have is so valuable for the entrepreneur. So I hope at some point you make a defense fund and you have a defense accelerator where, systematically you can make this knowledge available for entrepreneurs. But thanks so much today for having this deep discussion with us, telling us about how you build cutting edge technology from India, what it needs, how the government can help catalyze creation of more companies like Zen, which creates these core capabilities in India, not only make in India, but as you said, design in India, right? And I am hoping, and you said it very nicely, right, that we want India to be unbeatable in war. So I'll sign off with the hope that the government, the industry, the startups, and academia come together towards this larger mission statement you have given. And it is no more, as I was saying before, it is no more now just a hypothetical statement. It is real here and now. There's a very different geopolitics we live in, and we need to bring R&D and IP to the center to make this happen. Thank you very much, Ashok. It was great having you here.
Thanks for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you.